Welcome back on Dynamod. Today I want to propose you a video about
Fluff, 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 screech! Wait. Okay, go. Fluff, 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 screech, screech!
hey, what happened? Okay, not worry. Anyway, this is a video about the Terradon conversion and magnetizing, so that we can see how I decided to convert them and magnetizing, and also a comparison of these new models of the Terradon compared to the metal previous one released by the Games Workshop. So now we can go to see this video. And about the accessories, we use the drillers, the files, and the clippers. So this is what we need. And so we can begin. The first step is to remove the model from the sprue. So we use the clipper to cut off the parts. But I want to remind you that the parts that we gain using such step are not perfectly clean. So we have then to use a cutter or something similar to polish the surface that it's uneven because the parts that has remained from the sprue on the pieces, and then use the files so that we can adjust and not purify but quite similar because we need to remove the excess so that it's thin and perfect so that we can manipulate it. So it's an important step. And then we can begin to study how the model is built. So we can start to try to fake assembly the model, so temporary assembly it using blue tack or something similar, so that we can understand where the different pieces are positioned on the model, so understand how and where we can convert the model itself. So I decided to glue as first the breast and the back together, so to have something to work on and having a better understanding of everything so that I could have a base to work on. And then I tried the positioning of the tails because there are two different ways to build the tails of such model, and so I decided to verify where to put the legs and if it was possible to use magnets for the tails so that I was able to change. And at the end I thought that it was good to use a 4 for 2 3 mm ones magnets ones because it was really quite close. So we can begin to drill the tail so that we can create the space for the magnets. In this case, I want to remind you that you can eventually use a thinner drill point so that you can then use it as a guide to use then the bigger size drillers. Anyway, in this case, it's easy, we can do this. And about to put the magnets, I invite you to always have a referring about the versus of the magnet so that you can always be sure that you use always the same one. So I use a model as a referring and then I use another magnet that it's bigger so that I have a better grip to put the magnets in the tail. Then it was the turn to link the magnet of the tail to the one in the body. So I tried to put the magnet inside the body itself. But after a lot of try and error, I tried to make it bigger inside so it was more comfortable so on. But anyway, I found that it was not possible because the tail, the big one, was too heavy. So I decided to drop such magnetism. But even if the tail project failed, the parts of the rest of the model no, so I decided to magnetize the head. And about the head, it was quite easy, so I used a 3 for 2 mm one, both in the body of the Terradon and in the head, so I was able to switch from the Terradon to the Ripperdactyl version of such model. In such a way, it was really quite good because I was able to make that all the models that are characterized mainly by the head, the difference of the head, were able to be interchangeable, and so you have only to pay attention when you paint the head that has to be recalling the body surface color. I also wanted to make those skinks that are riding this Terradon Ripperdactyl to be able to be removed because I wanted to have a sort of way to play the Terradon or Ripperdactyl by themselves eventually. So I decided to magnetize the body of the Terradon with a 2 for 2 mm one put on the side, so I had to put the model that I was planning to put it in the way that I understand where the model can be magnetized, and then I magnetize also the feet of the skinks themselves. This fit skink magnetization is similar to what I done for the project of the Terradon Carnousaurus project, so it's the same way but put on even smaller feet. This is a way to play the skinks or the Terradon by themselves, or simply to put away the skinks so that they are not ruined when you go to store the model. This box lets you use one of these models, Terradon or Ripperdactyl, with the shift skink or as part of the unit. So I decided to magnetize a model so that I can change the head. So I put a 2 for 2mm one in the body and the head of one of such skink, so interchange the head. My models had a previous older base, so I decided to use a new one. So I used a 50mm MDF round base coming from the green stuff world, cause it's the cheaper way that I had to make a change about the base. To personalize the model, I decided to use some raw cork to create the heights of the model, instead of using the classic plastic heights that you can find in the box itself, because I find them really quite fragile and it's not so easy to make them useful. Okay, you can put away and bring on the model, but simply I don't find it so good. So I decided to have a, I can say, more solid model. So I created something using such option as the cork to use. I decided to use, so for such project, the long tail of the Ripperdactyl, because I found them that it's really more stable to use, and I found it more nice to my site. This time I wanted to create something more dynamic, so I decided to create something that it was glued in the main part. So I decided to create something that was recalling me the art books of this unit itself. And because this, I decided to create something that make these models more dynamic, so the positioning, using details so that it has an anchorage and so on, something that really could give me an idea that these are going to go and fly away or arriving or moving using these rocks themselves to jump. And now a bit of comparison with old Terradon. So we can find these ones, and you can see that I also modified a bit because I was trying yet some time ago to create some conversion. Here we can see that the base is quite different from the previous. They are metal ones and they are quite heavy. So here we can put them aside and see the comparison with the new one that are quite bigger than the old ones. And we can find that even if we change something, they are really quite similar but also a lot different. So we can find that there is quite a lot of difference in size. Here we can see even better the difference in size comparing directly the two models. So for example, the wing as dimension could be quite similar, but the new one it has a larger one. And about the tail, it's something of the old Terradon ones that suggested me to use the long tail also for this one instead of the short tail now associated to the Terradon themselves. About the skinks, they are really quite similar in dimension, but the new ones are a little bigger than the old ones. Inside there is also an option to create another skink, but it's one more. So I decided to create this in the way to have an additional shift skink, but on foot. And here you can see the comparison of this new one with an old one that I taken and converted to create my hero of quests. And here you can see the difference. So the new one it's bigger and more detailed. So we can see a lot of difference comparing the old and new version. Remember that with such models, the base becomes a must. You have to make that the base it's able to even improve such action option. And if you have seen something that it's quite dynamic, now something that it's quite static, because inside this box there is also a little frog that it's a sort of marker. So I decided to paint this frog in the way that it's saying that it's static but it can be put where you want on the battlefield because the rules, but at the same time it's a way that it's going to move, but it's a bit lazy to move itself. I had a lot of fun with such box, and sincerely, if you're going to play Seraphon or even you are interested about this, I suggest you to buy and try, because you can really personalize. You can make diorama, you can make some models, you can make a lot of different things and create also a lot of different varieties that are really quite amazing. So, from Dino Mode, it's everything. I invite you to put a like on this video, to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell, and to comment this video if you are interested in something about this video or you want to suggest me some arguments for other videos. I hope to see you again to the next time.